Hello everyone and welcome back to another Babbling Eyes breakdown video. This is a player I never thought I would be talking about on this channel. N'Golo Kante, obviously we so close to signing him back in 2015, 2014. Didn't happen. We didn't get over the line. He went to Leicester. The rest was history. He moved on to Chelsea. The rest was history there. But now he's out in Saudi and he's being linked with a move to West Ham. And, there's definitely concrete evidence behind this. It looks like we've had a bid of £15 million verbally rejected by Al-Ittihad last night. We remain interested, but they have no intention of selling. It's going to take 25 million plus to even consider it. The 33-year-old is happy and the club are counting on him. So it's an extremely difficult deal to do. It's an extremely interesting link to come up. And again, Fabrizio was kind of confirming the same thing this morning, saying their stance remains very clear. They have no intention on selling Kante this summer. So they're kind of planning for him to be a key part of the project, despite our approach. So I think it's going to be very, very, very difficult to do this deal. But it looks like we're very interested in bringing in someone like Kante into that midfield, which, again, we're going to discuss in a little bit more detail. But if you want a little bit of an overview of Kante, here it is. Obviously French, still only 5'7", right-footed, 33 years old. His contract expires in a couple of years in June 2026, and an estimated value of 20 million. We now know that's going to be slightly higher. And you can see his heat map from last season playing in Saudi, very much operating on kind of the right centre mid role. Again, you can see he's actually quite far up. You can see the three positions highlighted in blue that he's played in throughout the season. But a lot of his heat map is covered on that right-hand side. So that kind of 8 position that would play next to, say, an Alvarez and a Paqueta, an Alvarez and a Ward-Prowse if he's on the left-hand side of the central midfield. So it's an interesting league. It's one that sparked up quite a lot of controversy online. There's been a lot of conflicting takes on whether we should sign Kante, whether it would actually be a good deal. So looking at his statistical breakdown from last season, again, this is only comparing with the other 14 leagues. So these stats are based on comparing with the not the top 5 European leagues. But you can see here he actually had a pretty good season overall when you're comparing him to kind of like the next 14. Again, just going through here, he's definitely above that median rank for a lot of these different kind of areas. The one thing he's the most highest really for is actually accurate passes to the penalty area, which is interesting. Obviously, defensive duels 1 in the 91st percentile. We know he's always going to be high up there. Progressive runs, he's actually very high. So again, suggesting to us and showing that he is someone that would play or has played more as an 8 in Saudi this season and has been, kind of progressing the play. And again, he actually got 2 goals, 5 assists. So not an amazing return in terms of goals and assists output, but we know that's not what Kante is about. And again, you can kind of see an overall breakdown here of all of the statistics in kind of a summary compared to the other percentiles in the other 14 leagues. But N'Golo Kante is undoubtedly still a very, very good player. I think his performances in the recent Euros were good. I think his first game, he was outstanding. I think after that, it kind of regressed and people weren't really seeing that side of it. But I think overall, he had a solid tournament. He was obviously playing a lot higher up in that France system as well. And again, that's where he's kind of played for Saudi and for Al-Ittihad in Saudi. It's been very much the right central mid position, kind of playing as a more 8 and more box to box. But again, from that heat map that we'll bring up again, you can kind of see here that a lot of his heat map was in that kind of advanced right zone, which again, if we're thinking about what we need to bring in for West Ham, that is the position. It's having an Alvarez base, it's having someone like a Paqueta in an 8, and either a Kudus or a Paqueta, sorry, and then another 8, which we've said we want to be like a ball carrier, which the stats suggest Kante could be. But for me, it's a hard no. I will get into why, in this video, but I think if you're looking at the quality of Kante, he's still good enough to come into that midfield and do a very good job for West Ham. There's no doubt in that side of his quality. But if you're looking at the financials of the deal, it's already been confirmed that it's going to take 25 million plus to even consider the deal. He's 33 years old. which again, you're buying someone that's going to be decreasing in value once again in an already aging squad at West Ham, which we're trying to reduce and trying to build out of. This video is sponsored by Emotive. Emotive provide cutting-edge digital services, solutions, and training to companies and businesses of all sizes. Emotive have worked with some fantastic brands in the past, as you can see behind me, the likes of Apple, Google, Tesco, and of course, Babylon Irons. Emotive offer 4 key services, the first being digital solutions, the second being professional training and coaching, the third being fractional experts, and the fourth being AI readiness. We're going to be working with Emotive on our channel to improve how we showcase the data to you guys in our breakdown videos and data analysis videos. If you want to find out more information about how Emotive can work with you, make sure to scan the QR code now, which will take you to emotivetouch.com, where you can find out more details about the company, and the link will be in the description. A massive thank you to Emotive once again for sponsoring this video. And let's get back to it. And the last thing is injuries. You know, he did stay injury free last season in Saudi, which is great, but we know he has a history of injuries. You can kind of see here a breakdown of the games that he's missed throughout each season. And, you know, it wasn't that long ago in the 22-23 season that he missed, you know, pretty much all of the games. He had a lot of injuries. He had a lot of hamstring problems. And he had a massive hamstring injury that kept him out for like nearly 200 days. And yeah, you can kind of see here again, there's been a lot of knocks and niggles. And even in the 1920 season, that again was another hamstring injury. And also, yeah, he's just had a lot of issues with injuries, which again, the type of player he is, you understand why that would happen. But for someone that's 33 years old, coming back into the Premier League, which is just becoming so much more competitive and so much more demanding physically for athletes, for players, I just don't see this happening. And especially on the wages he's going to be on, it's rumored that he's on around 400 grand a week. There's obviously also, if you're signing someone from Saudi, their wages are currently tax free. So if you are going to sign someone, they're then going to come back into the UK system, which again, you'd be taxed on. So there's a lot of complications with any deals that you're doing with players from Saudi. And Kante is no exception to that. I think in terms of, again, you're looking at the quality of Kante. He could come in and play for West Ham. I have no doubt about that. It's just not a good signing objectively, you know, in the long run. In the short run, in, you know, 3-6 month period, it's, you know, it could be a fantastic signing. He could do really, really well, stay clear of injuries and help bolster that midfield that definitely needs bolstering. But it's still not the type of player profile that West Ham need. I think he can do the ball carrying. I think he's shown that for France and as well in Saudi last season that he can do it. But it's still not his strength. His strength would be playing as that number 6 or playing deeper next to Alvarez. You know, we know what Kante's game about: breaking up play, getting involved, interceptions, tackles, and distributing, doing simple stuff, not necessarily a goals and assists output. We need something a little bit more than that. So why would we not go into the market and sign someone that's probably about 10 years younger than Kante, and is more of a natural 8 than, say, an N'Golo Kante can be? But for me, it's a tough one because we're now starting to see quite a few different links, and there's a slight, not a concern, but it's just a slight interest into what type of transfer window we're now going to have, because we are being targeted with some older player profiles like N'Golo Kante. But, you know, we was also told that a lot of the transfer activity we want to do is to reduce the age gap of the squad, and, you know, really bring down the aging squad that we've had. So N'Golo Kante, again, where would he play? That's my main thing. If he's going to be coming in to play alongside Alvarez, and then you've got either a Paqueta or a Kudus playing as the advanced 8, I still think that's not enough creativity. There's not enough substance in that midfield, and it's something we've alluded to a long time. We're going to do a separate video on why we think Alvarez, Paqueta, and Kudus could definitely work as a midfield 3, because that's something else that's also been discussed. But in terms of Kante coming in, unless he's going to be another 6 for Alvarez, which he wouldn't be, because you'd expect him to start on the wages he'd be coming in on, and, you know, the age of him and the deal it would take to get this done. Other than that, it's very difficult to see where he would play other than the number 8 position next to Alvarez. But then again, I think we're losing what we would need in that midfield in terms of quality from, say, an over-reliance on someone like a Paqueta again, which we've seen throughout last season. That happened quite a lot. And then where do you play Kudus? Where do you play Bowen? You know, we need to think about the structure of the team. Kante would absolutely improve the midfield from a quality perspective in terms of what he could do. it's just A, not sustainable, in my opinion, in the Premier League for his injury record and age. And B, I just don't think it's the type of player profile that we need to have to play as the 8 alongside Alvarez and, say, a Paqueta or a Kudus or whoever it's going to be next season. So, yeah, I mean, look, it's an interesting link, isn't it? It's someone we tried to sign so long ago, almost came off, and it didn't happen. And he went on to do some amazing things in his career with Leicester and Chelsea and even France. So there's definitely still a player there. I think it's going to be very difficult to do. As we know, they don't really have an intention to sell. So we're going to have to overpay already on a player that's 33 years old. But for me, I would stay clear of this. If we did sign him for 25 to 30 million, I would probably give the transfer a 5 or a 4, to be honest, just because of the longevity of it and the value we'd get. If you're looking at the player profile himself, it's a 7 or an 8 because Kante is a very good player still. But overall, it's just going to hurt us in the long term. He'd have to be coming in on quite significantly higher wages than a lot of other members of the squad. And again, we're eating into that transfer market value, transfer budget that we have for this summer on a player who's going to regress in terms of his transfer value himself. So, yeah, let me know in the comments down below. What do you think of the links to N'Golo Kante? Would you like to see us try and push for this move and get it over the line? Is his quality enough to negate the other factors that I've spoke about with his injuries record, with his value decreasing after signing? Anything like that, let me know in the comments. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. As always, leave a like on the video if you enjoyed the breakdown. Subscribe to the channel for more content. And yeah, until the next one, come on, you Irons.